April 4th was World Rat Day, and there are lots of reasons why rats have a day just for them. So let's learn about rats, shall we?
Day for everything. Okay.
Which statement, Peter, about rats is false? Rats can reproduce every 3 weeks. There are 56 known species of rats. The Sumatran bamboo rat can weigh up to 8.8 pounds. Rats are solitary animals.
Oh, I think rats are solitary animals. That would be false.
That is correct. Rats are very social animals and live in communities in which they groom each other, sleep together, and play together. Rats enjoy and need the company of other rats. In fact, not only are rats extremely social, but they are very affectionate animals. Rats take care of injured and sick rats in their group. Also, domestic pet rats love being and interacting with humans too. And listen to this, Peter. Without companionship, rats tend to become lonely and depressed. It's been shown that rats will get depressed, they don't eat well, and get very nervous when alone. Yeah. So rats live in family groups in the wild, and domesticated rats are no different. So if you're planning to get a pet rat, it's best to get them in pairs or more. More is better, so when one dies, the other's not alone. And just like humans and other animals, when one family member dies, they'll go through a mourning process. Yeah. Also, when a rat is sick or injured, other rats will look after them until they are better. Domesticated pet rats come to love their human companion and will answer to their name. If you're interested in having a pet rat, get more than one, more is better, and always adopt from a rescue and not from a breeder. You've heard that before. Rats are also very playful animals. They like to run, jump, and play fight. Domesticated pet rats will often play wrestle with their owner's hand. And get this, Peter, it's been shown that rats laugh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
This is interesting. Since rats communicate with each other at higher frequency than us, at about 50 kilohertz or higher, we can only hear their laughter by using a bat detector device. Estonian neuroscientist Jacques Panksepp did just that in his paper Behavioral Brain Research over a period of many years, spent tickling rats. And he found out that rats are particularly ticklish in their nape area, that's the back of the neck, and they will seek out the human hands they know will tickle them, and that's the rats who laugh the most, who were also the most playful. And according to this article in the online Saga UK magazine, 12 Facts About Rats You Need to Know, this behavioral brain researcher, Jacques Panksepp, also found that rats would stop laughing when conditions changed, such as bright lights coming on or the smell of a cat approaching. Yeah. So far, the only other non-human animals who've been proven to laugh are primates, such as chimpanzees, and there's research to suggest dogs and dolphins both perform something akin to laughter, too. So we can't hear the communication amongst the rats, but of course we can hear the scampering and scurrying and squeaky noises rats tend to make. Peter, true or false?
Wait a second. I'm just taking all that in. Like the facts you need to know about rats. That was an interesting title.
Did I go too fast?
No, you didn't go too fast. I'm just like this whole world of ratty trivia, ratty facts. I'm just trying to absorb it all. That's all.
And then they're social and compassionate and
they laugh
sweet
and they
laugh. I know.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay.
Carrie, go ahead.
You got it all in now?
I'm just adapting. Go ahead.
Okay. True or false? There are some countries that worship rats.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Do you know where?
I'm going to say, let's see, wasn't there Thailand or Indonesia?
Northern India.
Oh,
There's a temple in northern India where rats are worshipped, just outside the city of Bikaner. This very famous Hindu temple is called the Karni Mata Temple or the Rat Temple. And it's where pilgrims go to pray to the saint and goddess Karni Mata. But rats are the other deities housed at this temple. And there are around 25,000 rats scurrying all around the temple, and the rats, are worshipped. It's believed these rats are the reincarnated souls of local family of storytellers, and they were reborn through a power of the rat goddess called Karni Mata. These rats are treated as sacred and considered to be holy. and many people travel great distances to pay their respects. Of course, the temple is also a tourist attraction from visitors across the world.
And they all get there and say, I can't believe this place exists.
Yes, they do. You have to see the videos, and I'm going to get to that. One of the rules there, in order to go into the temple, is that you must remove your shoes to walk inside. And this is to prevent people from accidentally stepping on and hurting or crushing the rats. And you have to watch your step, because if you check out any of these videos online, and there are a few great 7-10 minute educational type videos depicting the temple, and you could see rats just running around everywhere. And of course, you can imagine how much excrement can be produced by 25,000 or so rats, but apparently that's swept up continuously. And you see people or pilgrims or visitors holding and loving and feeding the rats. Yeah. You also see children sitting amongst the rats and hand feeding them, and the rats are crawling on the kids and on their laps and legs. And the priests and pilgrims feed the rats grain and milk and whatever else the rats want to eat there. The priests and members of his group are devoted to serving the rats. And again, they believe strongly in reincarnation and that these rats are family members. So you see the priests eat and drink with the rats. On one of the online videos, you can see someone in the kitchen in the temple cooking food and rats nibbling on the fresh food that is also shared with the human members.
Yeah, that's too much.
Another clip showed like 20 or 30 rats lined up all around and drinking some fresh milk in a circular large pan on the floor. And you see a pilgrim reach down with his cupped hand and get a handful of milk and drinks it. Yeah. The same milk as the rats are drinking. Anyway, very interesting, and definitely encourage listeners to YouTube this. National Geographic also puts out a 5-minute YouTube on this temple. It explains how this became the Temple of Rats and the history behind it. So what do you think about that?
Like I said, just sort of taking it all in. Don't rats carry certain microbes and illnesses and things that are infectious, like hantavirus or some other things? I would be worried getting something transmitted or being nibbled on.
Well, we're going to talk about possible bacteria and viruses that rats might carry, but these people and the visitors there are not worried about that. And reportedly, there's no cases in the surrounding area of any sort of infections to humans transmitted by the rats.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
I'm still worried.
You say you would not visit the rat temple?
I would visit.
You just wouldn't drink from the same milk bowl as they
That's
are.
a bridge too far.
Okay. Peter, true or false? Rats have excellent memories.
That is true.
True. They can remember a human face and recognize people they've seen before. If you have a rat as a pet, it can learn its name and respond when you call to it. Rats also don't get lost because they are so good at remembering their way around. Once they learn a navigation route, they won't forget it. True or false? Rats can be trained in a similar way to dogs.
It's true.
That's right. Like dogs, they are very food-oriented, so they will learn by enticing them with a little treat. And as we talked about, they're also very sociable, so they like the interaction they get from doing the activities, such as fetching and jumping and coming when called. True or false? Rats are extremely dirty, unclean animals.
Oh, you dirty rat. That is going to be false.
False is correct. Rats spend several hours a day cleaning and grooming themselves and cleaning their group members.
Yeah.
Cleaning others is a social bonding experience for rats. And rats clean themselves so much that they are said to be cleaner than dogs and cats. What is the purpose of a rat's tail? A, the tail does not have a purpose. B, like a lizard, the tail can break off as a self-defense mechanism. C, rats' tails help them to balance, communicate, and regulate their body temperature. D, a rat tail is used for the purpose of mating. The bigger the tail, the better.
Wow, okay. Wow, is it one of those?
One of those.
I'm going to go with C.
C is correct. Rats' tails help them to balance, communicate, and regulate their body temperatures. And you know the tail must work well for balance because they're excellent climbers. They can climb up walls.
So you wrote those alternative answers? Very clever.
Thank you. The rat is the first in the 12-year cycle of the Chinese zodiac. and the rat is one of the most clever and gifted animals out of the 12 zodiac signs of the Chinese horoscope. True or false?
I gotta say true.
True is correct. People born within these years are said to have been born in the year of the rat. 1912, 1924, 1936, 1948, 1960, 1972, 1984, 1996, 2008, and 2020.
Yeah.
People born in the year of the rat, so one of these years I just said, are thought to possess characteristics which are associated with rats, namely creativity, intelligence, honesty, ambition, and generosity. Peter, true or false? The rat's sense of smell is better than the sense of smell of dogs.
Oh, boy. I'm going to say that's true.
True.
Wow.
Rats don't see very well, but their other senses are pretty darn good. And Peter, as you know, giant African pouch rats are used to help in clearing out landmines in Cambodia and Zimbabwe.
Yep.
And we've talked about this on the show before. The rats themselves are too small to set off the landmines, but they detect where the explosives are buried so they can be detonated safely.
Yes, quite amazing.
Also, rats can effectively sniff out tuberculosis in people with HIV, and reportedly much more efficiently than microscopic tests. Furthermore, in the Netherlands, police have trained rats to sniff out drugs, explosives, and counterfeit cigarettes. Which American city has the most rats? LA, New York, Houston, Chicago.
Pre or post pandemic is the question.
That's a good question.
Because I think we talked about the rats coming out in New York City. I'm going to say there are more rats in Chicago than anybody.
You're right. And you're right. We did talk about after the pandemic, the rats in New York City just
took over.
Right.
The other rats.
According to Pest Control Service Orkin, Chicago is being called the rattiest city in the United States for 6 consecutive years in a row.
That is distinction. And Orkin, they should know.
Right.
Yeah.
Windiest, rattiest city.
Yeah, that's good.
Unfortunately, Peter, a history of bad press from the bubonic plague and the Black Death is associated with rats. However, World Rat Day is here to bust these old myths and misconceptions. Okay. Like, Peter, are rats to blame for the bubonic plague?
Oh, I'm going to say yes.
No.
Okay, teach me.
Okay. Rats have long been blamed for spreading the Black Death. So Black Death is the term that describes the global epidemic of the bubonic plague that struck Europe and Asia in the mid-1300s. So the plague was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. Very good. And researchers thought the bacterium would infect fleas on rats, and when the rats died, the fleas would jump to humans, infecting them.
Right.
And it's been speculated that the fleas on rats are responsible for the estimated 25 million people who died from the plague between 1347 and 1351. But studies have come out in the last few years that suggest that rats weren't the main carriers of fleas and lice that spread the plague. It was humans.
Oh.
Fleas and ticks on humans was shown to be the most accurate model for explaining the spread of the disease. According to History.com, it's not clear where the belief that rats spread the plague come from in the first place. After all, the researchers write that, quote, there's little historical and archaeological support for such a claim. For example, if rats really were a main cause of the plague, there would be more archaeological evidence of dead rats. So most people, like you, I would guess, Peter, still believe that the rats are to blame for the widespread outbreak of the plague. Instead, the disease may have spread from person to person through fleas and lice and human-feeding parasites.
Yeah. Wow. Thank
Now,
you.
I'm not saying that rats cannot spread diseases to humans. All wild rodents carry bacteria and viruses that cause infections in people. Which of the following film characters is a rat? Remy, Ben, Socrates, or all of the above?
Oh, okay. Well, I believe that Remy was a rat from, I do think Ben, Michael Jackson's Ben. And I don't know who Socrates is. That's probably more modern animated film.
Well, you did pretty good, Peter. Disney's 2007 movie Ratatouille followed a rat named Remy as he became a chef in Paris. The 1970s gave birth to 2 rat movies, Willard, in which a boy becomes friends with a rat named Socrates and starts training rats, and its sequel, Ben, about a boy befriending one of the rats trained by Willard. It featured a theme song by Michael Jackson. Good, Peter.
Yeah. I don't remember Willard so well.
No, I don't think I saw it.
Okay.
But I'm surprised your patients wouldn't talk to you about it, your little kids.
Yeah, well, they don't watch much from the 70s.
What is the word for a group of rats?
Oh.
A mischief?
Yeah.
A school? A murder? Or a flock?
I'm going to say I don't know this, a mischief.
That's correct.
Yeah.
What do you call a fear of mice and rats? Mustophobia? Rodentophobia? Muridophobia?
Rodentophobia sounds too easy to believe, but I'll go with that one.
It's musophobia.
Moose? Spell that.
I think it's musophobia. Musophobia. It's MUSOPHOBIA.
Wow.
The word comes from MUS, moose,
Which is like mouse.
which is mouse, right?
German.
In Latin and Greek.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Peter, how do you tell the difference between a rat and a mouse?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd get to this at some point. Okay, how do you tell a difference?
Name
if
three
okay.
characteristics.
Oh, rat. Okay, mice are smaller?
Yes.
Okay. Mice have, let's see, something about their whiskers or their...
How about their head?
Mice have a smaller head.
Well, I don't know about smaller. The snout of a mouse is more triangular, and the snout of a rat is more blunt.
Okay. Okay.
But maybe it's smaller.
Well, okay.
Okay, how about the tail?
Tail, rat, mouse. The mouse has a hairy, skinny tail.
That's pretty good. Mouse have long, thin, hairy tails. They also have large, floppy ears, which is different than the rat. And the rat's tail is usually hairless. What is the smallest size hole a rat can fit through? The size of a small marble? The size of a quarter? The size of a golf ball? Or the size of an egg?
Oh, boy. I'm going to say quarter size.
Quarter is correct.
Quarter size. So they really got to deform themselves to squeeze through like it. You see those videos of like octopi and how they're able to get through little spaces?
I know.
It's really bizarre.
Well, we've seen mice go like under a closed door before.
Well, yeah,
that's
true.
3 millimeters
That's
high.
true. They're clever.
True or false? Domestic rats bite often and without provocation.
I'm going to say false.
False is correct. Chocolate is just as toxic to rats as it is to dogs. True or false?
I never heard that because I'm not into the pet rat. But let's see. I'm going to say false.
It's false.
Yeah.
The
Otherwise, they'd be putting chocolate in the rat traps.
Yeah. That's right, but there are foods that are toxic to rats. So I'm actually scared to say, because now I'm going to give people idea what to put in rat traps. But the skin and seeds of avocado and green bananas and raw sweet potatoes, a lot more. There's a lot of foods that are toxic to rats. But going back to the chocolate, the toxin in chocolate that can kill dogs is called theobromine, does not affect rats.
Yeah, good.
Rat 4 feet have 4 toes.
Yeah.
But how many toes are on the hind feet? 3, 4, or 5?
I'm going to say 3.
5.
I'm going to say 5. I was making little
I see you making little...
rat foot things with my fingers. 3 looked good. Lori, I don't know if I ever told you this. I have a little rat story for you.
You have a rat story?
Yes, from pre-marriage days.
Okay.
I was in college, and I spent a summer up there studying in Massachusetts. It was really hot. I had no money, had no air conditioning in my apartment, and it was just brutal for a stretch there. And one of my professors from the psychology department, he gave me a key to the rat lab, which was nice and cool, right? Really one of the rare air-conditioned places I could find. And he allowed me to just go in there, not bother anybody, and there was a little room with a desk, and I could go there and do my studies during the day in the rat lab.
And he was just being nice.
He just gave me a place to go. And it was sort of, it was useful. The odor was, you have to get used to it. You know, it's hard to concentrate when you have the rat lab odor, but I got used to it, I guess.
Did you
It was
sleep with the
useful.
rats?
Did not sleep with
There
rats.
was no mattress on the floor there
I didn't
for
have
you?
anything to do with the rats, really. I just sort of walked in and out. So, but there's my rat encounter.
Your psychology professor. I wonder what the real reason is he allowed you to study in the rat lab.